Hello friends, this is English video file, the English version of the Hindi video file. Previously we had seen some details about the IAS. Today we will focus on Forest Service. Let's start. Before I start with Forest Service, let's start with Civil Services Prelims. In Prelims form, the question booklet is different, the OMR sheet is different. You can bring the question booklet home, which contains all the questions along with the options. The OMR sheet you fill and UPSC keeps it. The OMR sheet looks something like this. Question number 1, then A, B, C and D. Whichever option you think is the answer, fill it completely, blacken it properly. The thing to note is that these options are circular, not square and not this way. So if you are going to practice at home before you go to actual prelims, make sure that the OMR sheet you buy from the market has circular options to be filled. The paper is to be filled with black ballpoint pen. It must be black, it must be ball point. This is Civil Service Prelims. Then in case of Civil Services Mains, how does the answer sheet look like? This is subjective, so empty sheets are there. So if question number 1 is, let's say, of 10 marks, so for UPSC 5 marks denote one side of one page. So for 10 marks, you will be given 2 sheets. How will they look like? They will look like this. You can write everywhere, but not here, not here. This space is reserved for examiner. Examiner writes his views after reading your answer. Here there is question written in both English and Hindi. English, Hindi. Here examiner writes his views so that if any other examiner checks the answer, that person may come to know why marks have been given or deducted, etc. Generally what happens is there is a head examiner and then there are a lot of examiners under him. They actually check the paper. He or she selects randomly any sheet of any examiner so that all of the examiners get checked to see that nothing improper happens. These are all experienced people, so mostly candidates are okay with the kind of marks they get, and when they think about the answers they write, they feel that nothing wrong has been done and they deserve less marks or more marks, whichever they get. So this is the main thing I want to tell you about the prelims and mains form. The difference in this is that when you go for mock test series of various coaching institutes, the answer sheet you get for a question is like this. Question number 1, English, Hindi, then empty space to write. You can't write here, and similarly here. The problem with this is the actual one you get in UPSC. This is the one you get in coaching institutes. I don't know why they do it this way. Either they don't know that UPSC has only 2 vertical sheets, or they want you to be able to write in a box in a proper shape, because in this case you can confuse how to write here, etc, etc. In 2018, when I gave my prelims and enrolled my mains and got an interview call. Interview happens generally next year, so interview happened in 2019. When I wrote the mains, I wrote GS2. GS2 is the one that deals with polity, and only one book is there, Lakshmikant, for static syllabus. So when I wrote my GS2, for which only one book is required, so my knowledge was quite good. so I had a lot of stuff to write. So I used this space, mostly the space where answers end, to write 4-5 lines in very small space, very tight, because I knew a lot of content and most of this space already got filled and I had a lot to write. My writing speed is way above average, so time wasn't a constraint. Even after writing all these 4-5 lines here and finishing all the space given, I was able to finish the whole paper, and I got in this paper 122 marks out of 250, one of the highest all over India. So the reason I am telling you all this is, you need to know that in UPSC you can utilize this space and marks won't be deducted. Marks can be deducted if you write here. This is for examiner to write. So only 2 vertical lines are there, box are not there. In UPSC you can write here, marks are not deducted. In fact, as evidenced by me, you can get extra marks if you show the examiner that you know a lot of content. However, marks can be deducted by the UPSC in a lot of cases. For example, if you write here, your marks will be deducted. This is because this is for examiner to write. Similarly, if you write somewhere, anywhere in any of the mains questions, something that can be used to uniquely identify you. For example, if you write your name, my name is Piyush. If you write something like this in your mains, your marks could be deducted. If you write I am a Hindu anywhere in the answer, in GS or essay or optional or English language or Hindi or English paper which is qualifying or language paper which is qualifying, again your marks can be deducted. There are a lot of other cases in which your marks can be deducted. If you are caught cheating, you are thrown out of the exam and you cannot give UPSC again, and most probably state public service commissions also. For example, Haryana Administrative Service, UP Administrative Service, Haryana Police Service, UP Police Service, this is also barred. So do not cheat in this exam. And this is what I wanted to tell you about mock test. So when you write mains answers, which is definitely recommended, which must be written, if you don't write them, you are already out of the competition. So if you ever get to write a mains, practice it beforehand, and after practicing it here, to make sure that your lines are proper, your lines are straight, your lines shouldn't go this way or this way, they should be straight. The sentence should be straight. These pages are blank with no lines. If you have a problem writing straight in the beginning, you can use the notebook of children which have lines in them, so that you write here and your lines become straight, so that when you move on to white blank paper, your lines come straight. If your handwriting is not easily readable, then marks are generally not deducted. But if your handwriting is very bad, UPSC has written explicitly in the notification that marks will be deducted. In case of interview, candidates may think that English language proficiency matters. It doesn't. UPSC is a very mature body. It knows that in case of interview, UPSC isn't selecting those who can speak good English. They are selecting those who are honest and have integrity and know how to think. How you respond matters. How much time you take. Do you respond immediately? Do you think? How much time for how much time do you think? After thinking, what kind of answer do you bring in? That's all. All this matters. English language proficiency generally does not matter. There were some aspirants who couldn't speak English at all. They selected in English as their interview medium, but they could barely speak English. So UPSC told them you can speak in Hindi if you want, or whatever your language is, and then they got very good marks. For example, some of them got 200 out of 275 marks. These are one of the highest marks you can get. In interview, generally the highest is 206 in civil service interview. In case of forest service interview, the interview is of 300 marks and accordingly the maximum marks may increase also. So this is what I wanted to tell you about prelims. In case of interview, your honesty and integrity and how you think matters. Many people have this apprehension or this myth that in interview knowledge does not matter because knowledge has already been tested in prelims and mains. That's not true. Your knowledge also matters. If you are not able to answer most of the questions which you are expected to know, your marks will be deducted. Let's move on to forest service now, so that eventually I can come to tell you why I am uploading these introductory videos in the beginning and how these videos can help you. For the Indian Forest Service exam, here is the notification. One second. Let's start. I told you that prelims is common for both. Mains happen separately, interviews happen separately. Prelims is same for CS and forest. For mains, first civil service mains happens, then forest service mains happens, then for interview, first forest service interview happens, then civil service interview happens. The reason behind all this is that in case of civil service and forest service, when you fill the form, you need to tell UPSC three things. Which form are you filling? Civil service only, forest service only, or both? Also, you need to tell them if you are filling only civil service. Now let's start. So there are the three ways in which you can fill the form. Civil, forest, or both. So now let's say candidate fills only civil service in the prelim forms. So in that case, the person needs to tell the UPSC mains optional and mains center. There is only one optional here. Forest service, there are two optionals. There is a list of 14 optionals. 2 are to be selected. Some combinations are not allowed. For example, agriculture and agriculture engineering. These are two optionals which cannot be taken together. In case of 14 optionals, first two are agriculture, then agriculture engineering, and so on. Similarly, chemistry and chemical engineering cannot be taken together. Then agriculture and animal husbandry and veterinary sciences cannot be taken together. This is to ensure that the candidate who is knowing about only one thing, agriculture and agriculture engineering, which is similar, are not selected, and the candidates with variety of jobs are selected. This is also because seats are less. Only 100 seats come for forest service. So if you mostly select people from one particular knowledge criterion, you are missing out on lot of variety, experiences, and people who can handle a lot of things. So now you need to tell them about your two optionals as well as the center for your mains examination. Obviously, this is the prelims form you are filling, so you will always tell them about the prelims center. If you are filling both, let's say I want to attempt both. So now what would I tell them? In case of civil service, they will ask me what is your mains optional, what is your mains center. In case of forest service, they will ask me what are your two optionals and what is your center. I don't know whether or not the center has to be the same for both or not, or whether you can choose different center. I think they should be similar. This prelims happens, let's say, in June. In that case, this mains will happen after 3-4 months, that is 90 to 120 days. In this exam, try to count in terms of days rather than months, because time flies very fast in this exam. And if mains happens in June, civil service will happen in June, July, August, September. So September or October. Then after that, after 2 months, that is approximately 60 days, September, October, then December, this mains forest will happen. Then in Jan or Feb, these interviews will begin, and these interviews generally take 2 to 3 months. So Feb, March, April maybe they can continue. This is all. This is assuming prelims happens in June and there is no external exigency, for example coronavirus. Now this is the basics about the forest service. Now I told you that in case of civil service, 10 lakh fill the form, 5 lakh actually appear in them. 10 lakh fill the form because the form is only of 100 rupees, and also attempt isn't counted if you don't give, so only 5 lakh give the paper, rest 5 lakh don't give the paper. So UPSC has to make arrangements for the sitting, it also prints the paper and so on. It has to make all the arrangements for every single candidate. So let's say you fill the form, let's say prelims is in June, so from Feb to March of that year you will fill the form, and then prelims happens in June later. So after when you fill the form, let's say you fill the form from 15 Feb to 15th March. So from 15 Feb to 15 March you fill the form, and then after 7 days from 22nd March you get approximately a 15-day time window, let's say 7th April, where you can withdraw your application. What is this withdrawing of application? Since UPSC has to make so much arrangements and many aspirants aren't going to sit, for example 50% only sit for this exam, so UPSC wants to minimize the number of sheets it may have to print, and it will also have to make lesser arrangements. So even if let's say 1% of 10 lakh candidates withdraw their application, then 10,000 less papers are to be printed, 10,000 less seats are to be distributed all over India, and so on. So this is the reason for withdrawal. This withdrawal started from 2016-17 I think, and it started from medical service exam which UPSC conducts, that is from a smaller level exam. The current rule in the other exams is that if the candidate doesn't withdraw, attempt is counted. Attempt is counted if you don't withdraw, whether you sit or not. What does that mean? Suppose I fill the form and I don't want to appear, and I also don't withdraw. So my date will come for prelims, my admit card will be generated. Whether or not I download that admit card and go to give the paper, in case of these other exams, attempt can be counted if you do not withdraw. And if you withdraw, obviously no attempt is counted. Why I am telling you this is, in future UPSC is also giving this option for prelims, but here there is no such rule. So if I don't withdraw, my admit card is generated, and if I download my admit card but don't go for the paper on prelims day, my attempt won't be counted. Here for medical service exam, if I apply and don't withdraw and don't give the paper, my attempt is counted. Attempt is counted. In case of prelims as of now, for both civil services, common for civil or forest, if you apply, you don't withdraw. You download your admit card, but you know that you aren't prepared, you don't want to waste your attempt, so you don't go for the exam. Then your attempt won't be counted. As of now, the rule is if you sit in any one of the two exams of prelims, GS or CSAT, your attempt is counted. This is the rule. What the reason you should know about this is, in future this may also become something like this, that if you fill the form, your attempt is counted. If you don't want your attempt to be counted, either don't fill the form or withdraw when the window is available. Otherwise, after 7th of April, let's say, if you don't withdraw, you couldn't withdraw, and then your attempt is counted no matter whether you sit in the exam or not. So in the future, because you are only starting to give the attempts, my attempts are finished, you should know that this is to be read in the notification clearly. I will tell you when the notification will come whether this is mentioned in the notification, but you should also keep an eye out whether withdrawing is advisable or not. If you are not giving to appear the exam, even if this rule doesn't apply, for example in this case, it is good to withdraw. You are saving paper, you are saving UPSC from a lot of hassle. And if this rule applies, that if you don't withdraw, attempt is counted, then you should withdraw if you aren't prepared. And if you don't want to withdraw, then it makes no sense to miss the exam, since your attempt is already being counted. This may happen in the future. This is not happening at present. At present, if you attempt any one of these two, at least one of these two, your attempt is counted. Only then your attempt is counted. So you need to actually go on the prelims day for the exam. Always remember this. Another rule is, if you sit in any one of those two exams, don't complete it and are thrown out for cheating, even then your attempt is counted. And if you are found cheating, you cannot give UPSC exam and most probably state public service exam also ever again. So this was about withdrawal of applications. Keep an eye out for the future, in the future for the notification. What does it say? Currently it says that attempt will be counted if you don't withdraw for some smaller exams conducted by UPSC. For civil service and forest service, this rule still hasn't come, but it is highly probable in the near future. For the other exams, the UPSC was simply learning how to do it, and now it has gained the expertise in allowing you to withdraw. An ID card is required for prelims, mains, interview, whether you are giving it for civil service or mains, or whether you are giving for civil or forest or both. You need to upload the admit card, its photograph and number. For example, Aadhaar card and many other ID cards are allowed. You need to bring this same Aadhaar card to prelims, then same to mains, same to interview. A lot of ID cards you can bring. I advise you to register in Aadhaar card in your prelims form. The reason is that if you lose it later, in case of Aadhaar card, you can go to a shop and then tell him to make an Aadhaar card for you using your PDF, your Aadhaar PDF, and then you can generate it if you somehow misplace your original Aadhaar card, and duplicate Aadhaar card also works, there is no problem. But if you miss, let's say, your PAN card, if you misplace it, then you may not be, then also you will be able to give the mains exam, you will be able to give the interview. But if you don't have your PAN card, then in case of mains, they can click your photograph, then they can take your thumbprint to ensure that no other candidate is coming, the same candidate who wrote mains is coming. Same happens in interview. And this can already, if you lose your PAN card which you used to write prelims but you don't have in mains, then it can already increase your heartbeat a lot. You can start worrying, and worrying is not good, especially before an exam like prelims, mains or interview, where you are a contender for the most prestigious of civil services in India. So it is I'll always advisable, use your Aadhaar card, whose duplicate can be generated pretty much immediately. Next, I told you about negative marking. Now, since prelims is same for civil and forest, and 10 lakh fill the form, 5 lakh appear. So lot of centers are made all over India. Here are the centers. For example, the nearest one to me is Chandigarh. It is also a center. The centers fill on first come first serve basis. Let's say the form comes out on 15th Feb to 15th March. You get, let's say, 30 days to fill. Generally it is 14th March, 15th to 14th. So you get 30 days approximately. You should fill your prelims form in the earlier days itself. Delhi is one of the center which closes the first. When you will go to the prelims form, these 30-40 centers will be available as in a drop down menu. So out of these 30-40 centers, they will be in black color generally, but those who are not available because they have been filled by first come first serve, many candidates applied before you, they chose that center and now that center is not available, so that center will come in red. So if you are from Delhi and you want to write from Delhi, Delhi fills first. Now in times of coronavirus, few people are living there, so most probably it won't fill so soon, but you should fill the center as soon as possible so that you don't miss out. If it appears red, you cannot fill it, then you can choose something nearby, for example Gurgaon or Noida. This is available. If you are living near Chandigarh and let's say Chandigarh gets filled, then the nearest center is very far away, so please don't do this mistake. Fill the form as soon as possible. Since in the prelims form also itself you have to tell whether you are applying for civil or forest or both, and if you are applying for whichever, you have to tell the optional or two optionals in case of forest, etc. So you should fill it on the first day itself, and you should have the information ready, which exam I want to apply for, which exam I want to be considered for, what are my optionals going to be in either of those two exams or both of them, and so on. All this information will help you in eliminating the possibility that your center gets filled sooner. You also have to tell them about your main center. So in case of prelims, civil, forest and both, you have to tell your main center in all three of them. So it is advisable to know beforehand on the first, second or third day itself. Start filling the form. On the first day, take a look. If you are filling it for the first time, what is the information that is required? Photo is required, sign is required. You have to upload both of them. There are particular resolutions which you can easily make using Microsoft Windows softwares already preloaded in the operating system. You don't need any new software generally, especially after Windows 8 and 10. So this is how the centers are filled, and you should fill them as soon as possible. Otherwise you will have to go far away. You may have to book a hotel, or you may have to leave very early in the morning, for which you will have to wake up very early. So you could be already tired and may not be in a position to give your best effort at prelims. I already told you about zones and cadre system. Same thing is here. In case of civil service, IAS and IPS are the two all India services. All services were all India. This means that, and Indian Forest Service is another all India service. All India service means you get a state, and most of the professional life you spend in that state. State or group of states. For example, AGMUT I told you is a group of state. Then Assam Meghalaya is another joint cadre. Cadre means state. Now, prelims has 10 lakh form applications, 5 lakh appearances, and is common for both civil and forest. Therefore, a lot of centers are there for prelims, 30 to 40. But in case of mains, mains is separate for both. Mains is separate for civil service, mains is separate for forest service. First civil service mains happens, then forest service mains happen. Civil service mains is written by approximately 10,000 people. But forest people, for forest, in case of interview, let's say 800 are to be selected, then 2.5 times 2000 are called. Its 5 times are called in mains. So same here, if forest has 100 seats, then 250, 2.5 times will be called here, and its 5 times will write mains. This is how it happens. Okay, so since only 1250 or so candidates are going to write the mains, only these many are selected, so the number of centers in mains for forest is very less. Only 10 centers are there. In forest service mains, which happens 2 months after civil service mains, only 1250 or so candidates are called, assuming 100 seats are there. So 2.5 times 250 will be called for interview. So 5 times that, 1250 most probably will write the mains. So only 10 centers are there. Which are those 10 centers? They are Bhopal, Chennai, Delhi, Dispur, bracket में Guwahati, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Lucknow, Nagpur, Port Blair and Shimla. Dispur bracket Guwahati. I don't know what this means. They are two different places. Both are in Assam. Dispur is the capital. Again, a reservation applies. General, SC, ST, OBC and EWS. So let's say 100 candidates are to be selected. 40 I told you is for general, rest is 60. Division is something like this. (15) 7.5, this becomes 22.5, so this becomes 50, so this becomes 60, rest 40 is general. This 0.5 ST candidates will be selected every year, means in 2 years 15 candidates will be selected, and similarly here in 2 years 55 candidates will be selected. Obviously candidates can't be cut in half. Now I told you that if the process is ongoing, for example my process is ongoing for my interview, then what will happen is marks won't be told to you at any stage. I cleared prelims but I don't know my marks. I cleared mains and I have gotten an interview call. I don't know my marks. And similar is the case in case of forest service also. Marks are declared at the end when the final result comes, when all India rank 1, 2, 3 etc. is given. So let's start. Let's say prelims form is filled in Feb March. Prelims happens in June. Civil mains happens in September October. Then forest mains happens in December. Forest interviews begin in Feb. And forest interviews in forest I told you if 100 seats are there, 250 are to be selected. Since UPSC can take 50 candidates interview each day, so these interviews can finish in 5 days. Since UPSC generally works from Monday to Friday, these interviews can finish in 1 week itself. And in case of civil services, interviews can go on for 2 or 3 months, February, March, April. So now prelims form is here, prelims is conducted here, mains is conducted here, mains for forest is conducted here. After you clear your prelims and before mains, you fill DAF 1. This is always separate for civil and forest. So if you are filling prelims for civil and forest and are clearing both of them, you are clearing the civil service cutoff of let's say 100 marks, and then forest service cutoff which is generally 15 marks higher. So if you are securing 115 or more than that, you are clearing both the mains, so you will fill DAF 1 for forest also. You may have to fill the DAF 1 of forest before the civil service mains, either with the civil service DAF 1 also, or after some days, or you may also be told to fill the civil service DAF 1 after the civil service mains. And that it means this can also be here before civil service mains also. So now when you fill the form, let's say you clear it, so you are called for forest service interview in Feb. So here you have to fill DAF 2 for forest interview. Before civil service interview, you again have to fill DAF 2. It is separate for civil and forest. So now in case DAF refers to detailed application form. So now when you are in this DAF 2, you give state preference. You cannot give service preference in forest, because in forest there is only one service. In case of DAF 2 for forest, you give state preference, you give service preference. In case of this exam, forest exam, this is a all India service. So state and zonal system is there. So state preference you will give. So you will tell them about your zones and cadres and which way the counter should move. It is always advisable to fill all zones and cadres. In case of civil service, there are 21 services, of which 2 are IAS and IPS. So if you are not filling these 2, which are all India services, you do not give state preference. State preference only exists here. So if I am filling out of 21, 19 services in which I am not filling these 2, all the rest I am filling, then I am not filling any all India service. So zonal or cadre system simply doesn't apply to me. So I don't have to fill state preference firstly. But this generally doesn't apply to anyone. Either IS or IPS is generally the most preferred option for most people. So service preference generally has to be filled. Now, in case of both civil and forest interview, when you fill the forest DAF 2, before you fill the DAF 2, you tell the UPSC whether UPSC should make your marks public when the marks are finally declared. Final result is declared. For forest, final result is declared. Then for civil service also, final result is declared. So after that, your marks are declared. Again for forest and again for civil service. So now UPSC asks you, when you fill DAF 2 of forest, should your marks be made public of forest? Similarly, when you fill your DAF 2 before interview of civil service, UPSC asks whether your marks should be made public. The reason is that, let's say in civil service 800 seats are there, 2000 candidates are called, 1200 are finally rejected. So now 800 first candidate is the first one to be rejected. The difference between the 800th candidate and 800 first candidate in terms of marks is only 1 mark, or generally more, or at max 2 mark. Generally it is 1 mark or even less. So now this candidate is simply unlucky. He is not very inferior to all these 800 or etc. So the reason for giving the option of making marks public is that if the marks of those who do not make it to the service are made public, then the government and private sector can use that data to hire that person, so that the hard work you have done to reach this stage, to reach the interview stage, to reach the main stage isn't wasted. For example, I gave my 2018 prelim, I cleared it, then I wrote mains, then I gave interview in 2019. So when I was asked whether do you want to make your marks public, I said yes, because I want to keep the option open of invitation from any government or private agency to hire me based on my performance in this difficult exam. So if you ever go to UPSC website, you can actually see my marks, my name, my father's name, my address, my email ID and my marks in the civil service mains plus interview. Mains plus interview marks are declared since mains plus interview marks are generally not generally but always, since mains plus interview marks always make your merit list. Prelims marks don't matter. Prelims is only a qualifying round. Once you qualify, you move on to the next stage. That's it. So right now I am about to appear for my mains. I gave 2020 prelims on 4th October. Then I wrote mains from 8th to 17th Jan 2021 this year, 4-5 months ago. Now my interview was to come on, I think, 4th June 2021, but now after coronavirus it has been postponed. So now before my interview, when I filled a DAF 2 for civil service, I again ticked the option yes, make my marks public. Since 800 candidates are to be selected and 1200 are to be rejected, so there is a higher probability for any aspirant to be rejected rather than selected. Therefore, do not give your interview thinking, now I will finally get something. You most probably will fail and less probably will get something, will get a job. And even in that case, you can get a job at the last one. So you don't know which one you will get. So in this case, always do not think that if you get an interview call, you have made it. You are going to get something. Chances are you are not going to get something rather than getting something. So this is in my opinion, you should make your marks public. But if for any reason you don't want to, then you can also exercise this option. Only after exercising this option, you can fill your DAF 2, and only after filling your DAF 2 will you be called for interview. So option is yes or no, so you can easily fill it. UPSC simply makes it compulsory to exercise the option. It is not making it compulsory that we will make your marks public. They will make your marks public if you tell them to. You can say no also. It is advisable that you say yes. In this attempt also, when I will be interviewed, after that final rank list will come, after few days marks will come. When the marks come, they can only be seen by you. If you have exercised the public option, they can be seen by everybody. So the marks which can be seen by you is always seen by everyone, because everyone would want to know how much their marks are, how many marks they secured. But some people may say make my marks public, some people may say don't make my marks public. So depending on that, a common list comes. It's a huge list and it contains the names of all those candidates who appeared for the interview but didn't get anything, didn't get any service. They were in the rejected 1200. Similarly for forest service, let's say 100 candidates are to be selected, so 2.5 times 250 will be called for interview, so 150 won't be selected. So all the 250 who appear in the interview are required to fill DAF 2 before the interview. Only then they can sit in the interview. So all of them will say whether or not our marks are to be made public. Those who are selected, their marks are always revealed to maintain transparency. If you are not selected, then this option, whatever you selected, comes into picture, and the same for civil service. Now let's come on to one of the most important stages, parts of this exam, your date of birth. Date of birth is selected on the basis of your 10th class mark sheet and it cannot be changed later under any circumstances. The UPSC calculates date of birth on the 1st of August of that year in which notification has come. What does that mean? If you are born on 1st of August or before, consider yourself unlucky. If you are born on 2nd of August or later, consider yourself lucky. You are getting one more chance at this exam. How? Let's see. I am born on my date of birth is 26 June 1991. So it is this one, 1st of August or before. So I am unlucky. Here's how. In 2013, I graduated from PAC. Then I did a job for 4 months. Then I started preparation. In 2014, I gave my first attempt. So in 2014, UPSC will check my age on the 1st of August of that year. Since in 2014, I will be celebrating my birthday on 26th of June, and I am and I have already celebrated my birthday as of 1st of August. So as calculated from 1991, in the eyes of UPSC, I am 23 years old. If I would have been born on, let's say, 23rd September, then I would have come here on 1st of August. I wouldn't have celebrated my birthday. I would have celebrated my birthday in the previous year, so I would have been only 22 years old. But now I am 23 years old. So in 2014, at the age of 23, I gave my first attempt. Then 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Here are my 6 attempts of civil service. Next year is 20, 21, 22, 23. Age will be 29, 30, 31, 32. Here is forest service. Since I am born on 26 June 1991 and since I started preparing from 2013 and I gave my first attempt in 2014 and I filled the form whose notification came in 2014. So on 1st of August of 2014 I had already celebrated my 23rd birthday. So when in that year I gave my first attempt. In 2015, I gave my second attempt, then 16th, 3rd, 17th, 4th, 18th, 5th. I told you that I skipped my 19th prelims because it was going to be my last one. But let's assume that I had continued, I didn't break the chain. Let's assume that. So now in case of civil service, I have this many attempts, and in case of 2023, I am already 32 years old. And as calculated from 1st of August, I am, I think, 32 years and 4 days of June, all of July. So 30 plus 4 days, 34 days old. So now since the age for general is 6/32 years, whichever is earlier, I have achieved 32 years and 34 days of age. I cannot give this attempt. So I am going to give only 3 attempts of forest. I am going to get all 6 attempts of civil service. So I am wasting 3 attempts of forest. I am only giving 3. For general, for civil service I get 6 attempts of 32 years of age, whichever is earlier. For forest also I get 6 years of 32 years of age, whichever is earlier. And UPSC asks in the prelims form, which one do you want to fill, which one don't you want to fill. So what I could have done, but I didn't do because I didn't know this, and that's why I am telling you so that you don't make this mistake. You should also calculate this for yourself, and then you can see how many attempts you will get till 32 years of age. So now what could I have done? I could have given my first attempt for forest here, second here, third here, then here I could have given fourth, fifth and sixth attempt. In that case, I would have consumed all of my 6 attempts of forest, all of my 6 attempts of civil service by totally giving 9 attempts, and I wouldn't have wasted any attempt. For example, I told you in 2018 in prelims I secured 122 marks, one of the highest. It was very good, not one of the highest, and it was so good that if I would have filled the form from Indian Forest Service, I would have cleared it and I would have gotten the chance to write the mains, but I didn't fill. I filled only civil service for lack of knowledge, for lack of this information, and I could only write civil service mains. So if I would have written my civil forest service here, I could have gotten a chance. Now what has happened actually in my case, in 2019 when I was 28, I skipped the exam because I have already given 5 attempts. Only last attempt is remaining. In 2018 I cleared prelims, mains, interview. Interview was in 2019 in March, and here 2019 prelims is in June. So I am getting only 3 months after my interview, and this is going to be my last attempt. If I fail here, my journey for civil service is finished. So I didn't give the attempt. So I gave my 6th attempt in 2020 last year, 4th of October. From 4th of October I cleared the prelims, then I wrote mains. Now I have gotten an interview call. Now in 19th I missed the prelims, and so far it has been proved to be a good choice because I am getting 6 in my 6th attempt. I have cleared prelims and mains, and I have gotten an interview call. I don't know what will happen later. UPSC doesn't reveal any marks, so I don't know what I have performed in mains, how I have performed in mains. So, and then how I have filled forest service. Till now I didn't fill any. This is the first one when I filled forest and I didn't clear it. I cleared civil service mains. So for civil service generally cutoff is 100, for forest cutoff is generally 115 in prelims. So my marks must have been something like in between, so that I cleared civil service mains but not forest service mains. So now how many attempts would I be getting more? I have written first forest service here, second and third in 2021, when this year in Feb to March, 2 months ago. From Feb to March 2021, I have filled the form, and my 6 attempts of civil service are finished last year. So I have already only filled forest service form. So prelims was scheduled on 27th June 2021, 1 month from now. Today is 27 or 28th of May 2021, but now it has been postponed. So now I can only give 3 attempts of forest, wasting 3 attempts. How could I have filled? I could have filled it this way. Since I am already using my 3 attempts here, I could have given it something like this. And then this becomes 4th, 5th and 6th. This way I could have utilized all my 6 attempts. This is for the person who is born on 1st of August of that year. Similarly, you must calculate for yourself. If you are from reserved category, general you get 6 or 32 in both civil and forest. For SC, there is no limit, only 37 years of age. You can give as many attempts till you achieve 37 years of age. For OBC also 9/35. EWS is same as general, so for EWS this also applies. For OBC also this applies. You should also calculate, but generally no candidate is willing to give 9 attempts. So maybe you may calculate or you may not. For general, this calculation is highly advisable. Same for EWS. 6 attempts have 32 years of age for each of civil service, for each of forest service. So now what would have happened if the person was born on, let's say, 1992 and let's say 2nd September. So in that case, the person is not born on 1st of August or before. If the person is born on 2nd of August or later, 2nd of September 1992. So how can you fill your form now? How can this person fill the form? You can calculate it for yourself how old you were. In 2014, the age is coming to be approximately 22. 1992 plus 22 is 2014. But actually, UPSC calculates on 1st of August. You celebrated your birthday on 2nd of September 1991. You didn't celebrate it on 1st of August 1992. So you are actually only 21. So this becomes your age. These are your 6 attempts. And the rest of the difference comes in terms of age here. 26, then 27, 28, 29, then 30, 31. You turn 32 here, you can't give this. So this is 2024, this is 2025. So you can give, you have given 6 attempts there. 6 attempts are finished for civil. You can give 1, 2, 3, and then for 2023 you are getting 30, 4th and 5th. You are already 32 on 2025, because if you calculate from 1992 to 2025, age is coming to be 33. But on 1st of August you are only 32. But you have already celebrated your 32nd birthday, so you aren't eligible. So now what can happen is, how many attempts are you missing? You are missing 1 forest attempt. So what you can do, if you are doing it right now, sitting at home calculating for yourself, you can fill this as your first forest form, and then this becomes 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, thereby consuming all forest attempts also. So this is how you need to calculate. See your birth date, check it here, remember which category you are, then remember that general gets 632, OBC get 9/35. For SC/ST there is only year 37 years, so SC/ST can fill in all the forms, both civil and forest. I want to appear in both civil and forest. Whichever cutoff I clear, its means I can write. Now let's say you are a candidate who are starting this exam. You are a general category candidate, let's say, starting at 29 years of age. You have already achieved 29 years of age. So for a person born on 26 June 1991, 29 years of age would be achieved in 2020. And for UPSC, since you would have celebrated your birthday before 1st of August or on or before 1st of August, so you in 2021 you are 29 years of age, you wrote your first attempt. In 2021, 22, 30, 31, 23, 32. Now what is happening? You are here, second attempt, then third attempt. Then in 2023, a person born on 26 June 1991 would be turning 32, and the birthday is before, on or before. So you are already 32 in the eyes of UPSC also. You are 32 years and 34 days here of June. 30th June you come to July. 30 days of July you come to August. 32 years, 34 days old. So you can't give this exam. So you can only give 3 attempts. So it makes no sense to only fill civil or forest. In all these 3 attempts you get fill always civil and forest. And similarly for OBC, please do this calculation so that you don't end up missing a forest mains like I did, but even though you were clearing the prelims cutoff for forest for that year. So this is the date of birth in detail. Now let's come to notification. For physically handicapped, the number of attempts matter this way. For the general category, for physically handicapped, the simple rule says you will get the attempts in your category. If you are from general, 6/32. For SC/ST, 37 years of age. For OBC, 9/35. But subject to the condition, you get 9 attempts. So if you are getting 6, you are getting 9. OBC were getting 9, so you are already getting 9. And age relaxation is 10 years. So general is 6/32. For physically handicapped, it becomes 42. And so on, 10 years added. SC/ST gets 37 years. Physically handicapped gets 47 years. The fee to be filled is ₹100 for prelims. Whether you appear in both civil or forest, you have to pay 100 only. You don't have to pay 200. If you attempt mains, you have to give 200 for civil service. And I am not sure whether for forest also there is a fee, but there should be, because the forest is different exam. So I think 200 has to be paid. I don't think the notification mentions this. This is to be seen. This is the notification to fill the prelims form. This came in 2021 Feb to March. Whose forest service paper I filled, whose civil service paper I can't fill, whose civil service form I can't fill because I have already consumed my 6 attempts in last year, that is 2020. Now let's say you fill the form of prelims and you made a mistake. You have finally submitted your form. So you have paid 100 rupees, you gave your photo, you uploaded your photo, you uploaded your sign, you uploaded your ID, and then after final submit you find a mistake. What do? There is no need to worry. Fill the form again. Again pay 100 rupees. This information is not pre-populated. Upload the photo again, upload the sign again, upload the ID again, and you can, then this one will be automatically accepted, this one will be automatically rejected. You don't have to worry, you don't have to do anything, you don't have to inform UPSC. If you make a mistake here also, then again you can fill the form and you can keep giving 100 rupees, keep donating 100 rupees to UPSC as many times as you want. There is a facility for scribe. If you are physically handicapped, if you don't have hands, or if you are blind, or for any other reason you can't write the paper in the prelims form, just tell them that I need a scribe. And in the unfortunate case that if you become physically handicapped during the exam, let's say after prelims, before mains, so you can inform the UPSC and I think they can give you a scribe. And if you filled form from general category, they will also convert you to physically handicapped general category. And similarly, if you are OBC, they will convert you to physically handicapped OBC. Now let's come to the actual exam. I told you prelims is same, mains for forest. Let's start. Mains of forest has 6 exams. First is general English, then there is general knowledge, then there is optional, then there is another optional 1 and 2. For each there is 2 paper 1 and paper 2. This general English is of 300, this is 300, this paper 1 of optional 1 is 200, this is 200, this is 200, this is 200, this becomes 400, this becomes 400, optional becomes 800, compulsory papers for everyone becomes 600, your total becomes 1400 for mains. For interview marks are 300, so total becomes 1700. In case of civil service mains, it was something like this: general studies 1 to 4, 250 marks each, then essay 250, then optional 2 papers of 250 each, so 500. Then English and language are qualifying. Here English, this is general English, its marks are counted for ranking. Forest service exam, this is Indian Forest Service mains. In case of forest service exams, your marks are finally counted, and this exam only happens in English. In the question paper, the questions are printed only in English. There is no Hindi translation. You must attempt it in English. There is no choice. In this civil service mains, you can attempt these paper in any of the languages. 22 languages in 8th schedule of the Constitution, and English is to be attempted in English language, and the language you have selected is also to be attempted in that language. And this paper was of 1000, 500, 250, so 1750. Interview was of 275, total was of 25 marks. So there is variation only here. And in case of general English, what is asked? This is actually written here. Before that, let's start with the optionals. 2 optionals are to be selected, and the list is of 14 optionals, and some combinations are not allowed. Let's say what are these. The 14 optionals are agriculture, engineering, animal husbandry and veterinary sciences, botany, chemistry, chemical engineering, civil engineering, forestry, geology, maths, mechanical engineering, physics, statistics, zoology. Obviously, in case of civil service optional, there is only one optional to be selected. There are a list of 15 optionals like this, plus there is literature of 15 languages, so total 30 optionals, out of which you can select one. 15 are something like this, these optionals, 15 are literatures, and 30 are total, or one is to be selected. In this case, two are to be selected. Some combinations are not allowed. Agriculture and agriculture engineering is not allowed. Agricultural and animal husbandry and veterinary sciences is not allowed. Then agriculture and forestry is not allowed. Then chemistry and chemical engineering is not allowed. Finally, maths and statistics, this is not allowed. And for all the engineering subjects, only one can be taken. You cannot take these two or these two or these two, etc. If you take any one engineering optional, rest one has to come from here. This is because they want variety of knowledge in an aspirant and not the similar kind of knowledge. For example, in case of chemistry and chemical engineering, the person would be possessing almost similar knowledge. All questions paper must be answered in English. Questions papers will be set in English only. Total I told you 1700 marks. Now let's come to general English. Here it is written. The person may be told to write an essay. Then other questions will be there. Passages will be there for summary or précis. Précis means summary. Its summary you may have to write. Then general knowledge. It is same as GS. Here there are 4 papers of GS, 1 to 4. GS 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 is history, geography. 2 is polity and constitution. 3 is economics, disaster management, science and tech, and internal security. 4th is ethics. Ethics generally is not asked here. Here general knowledge means this: history, geography, polity, constitution, economics, etc. These 2 papers, every paper is of 3 hours. So optional 1, paper 1 is of 3 hours, or paper 2 is of 3 hours. In case of civil service, the exam happens something like this. Friday you have essay, Saturday you have GS 1, 2, 9 to 12, 2 to 5. This is only 9 to 12. Sunday you have GS 3 to 4, 9 to 12, 2 to 5. Then Monday to Friday you have a holiday. Saturday you have English and language. On Saturday, this is Sunday. Optional, same optional first paper, same optional paper 2. This is for all the aspirants. Irrespective of the optional you select out of 30 optionals, everyone will be writing on the same day. In this case, there is a day for each optional. So what will happen is, your timetable will come according to the optional you select. On the first day, everyone will have general English and GK. This generally happens on a single day, 9 to 12, 2 to 5. Both the marks are counted. In this exam, all the marks are counted. In forest service means there is no qualifying paper. And then on the next day there will be one optional. Then on the next day there will be other option. So 14 days could be there. Out of these, you can have any 2 days for your 2 optionals. They could be first and second, then first and 14th, 13th and 14th, 6th and 10th, etc., etc. Depending on which optional you choose. Now the general knowledge paper says about history, constitution, geography. Same. Optional subject is same as here in terms of how the paper comes. What does that mean? In case of optional paper, each of them, for let's say this paper, you will have section A, section B, Question 1 is compulsory, 5th is compulsory. There are 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 6th, 7th, 8th. Then 1st and 5th are compulsory. Then out of these 3 you have to attempt any 3 such that you take at least 1 from each section. So 1 from here, 2 from here, or 2 from here, 1 from here. You cannot attempt all 3 or you cannot attempt all these 3. The only difference from optional is that here optional is of 200, here optional was of 250. So 5 questions are to be attempted in total. So each question will be of 40 marks now. Here each question will be of 50 marks and 5 questions are to be attempted, 1, 2 and 3 from here. So here it is of 40 marks, then it is of 40 marks and same here. This is for optional 1 paper 1. This. Similarly optional 1 paper 2. Similarly optional 2 paper 1. Similarly optional 2 paper 2. This brings us to the syllabus. Here it is agriculture, then there is agriculture engineering and so on. Then animal husbandry. It is given in alphabetical order. So your optional will be here, which 2 you have to select. Let's move on to the important part, how to select your optionals. I told you that in civil service there is one optional to be selected and 30 optionals approximately are there, 15 of this kind and 15 language literatures. In case of this exam, forest exam, you have to select out of 14 2 optionals. So the total amount of optionals available is less and the number of optionals to be selected is more, that is 2. So now here is civil service, there is forest service. So how can you choose your optional? Can you apply any strategy here? Let's see. In case of forest service, the optionals are this: agriculture, agriculture engineering, agriculture, animal husbandry and veterinary sciences, botany, chemistry, chemical engineering, civil engineering, forestry, geology, maths, mechanical engineering, physics, statistics, zoology. This is geology, this is zoology. So now, what are the optionals here? There are actually 25 optionals of these kind plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 23 language literatures. So 48 optionals are there and 1 is to be selected. Here 14 are there. 14 are there, 2 to be selected and some combinations are not allowed. So now what are the tips and tricks you can apply to select the optional? You can choose the ones which are common. How does that benefit? Let's select first which ones are common. So now agriculture is here, it is also in civil service. Animal husbandry and veterinary science is there, agriculture engineering is not there. Anthropology, botany is there. Chemistry is there, chemical engineering is not there, civil engineering is there, then commerce and accountancy, economics, electrical engineering, geography, geology is there, forestry is not there. Then this is maths is there, mechanical engineering is there, philosophy, physics is there, statistics is there, zoology is there. So agriculture engineering, chemical engineering and forestry. Out of them, all the other optionals are present here. So what is the advantage that accrues to you? In case of civil service, you need to select one option and you need to study that. In case of forest, you need to select two optionals. So let's say you select here an optional which is not these and are there in the list. For example, I chose anthropology and it is not there in this list. So now I will have to study anthropology for civil service, and when I come to forest service I have to choose two other options also. Anthropology is not there, so I will have to read two more options. For example, let's say, for example, the form I have filled in this year, in which I have filled forest, I have selected forestry and geology. I have selected forestry because it is considered the easiest optional in this list, and I have selected geology because it has some linkage with geography. Rest of the all optionals are relatively more difficult for me. So now, what advantage does this accrue? If I choose anthropology, I will have to study total 3 optionals. 1 here, 2 here. If I choose a common one, then let's say I choose agriculture. So when I study agriculture here, I can take agriculture here and then one more optional. So total 2 optionals only I have to select. So this strategy you can use. But the question is, should you choose this way? Now let's remember that for most of the people, the dream is IAS or IPS, not forest service. So if you are selecting an optional this way, the chances are that the answer is yes and no. If you select the optional this way, that I select a common optional, then you are making your life easier. If you don't clear this civil service in your 6 attempts, when you move on to the forest service, your optional was the same. You can attempt the forest paper and then you can clear it easily because you have to read one extra optional, one is already prepared. So yes and no. For whom is it yes? For those candidates who, after reading all these 25 optionals and 23 literature, say that I am not interested in any of them, everyone is equal to me, which optionals should I choose? I have no interest in anyone, so which options shall I choose? So you should select the one which is common. For those, this option is yes. Those who have no interest in any optional. So if you have no interest in any optional, you can choose common one. But for all other aspirants, the answer is no. Your dream is IAS or IPS generally, not forest. So you should first focus on this exam. You should try to increase your chances of making it here. So you should select an option based on your interest first. Which the optional you select, you should be able to study it in great detail. You should know everything about it and you should be able to get good marks in it. If you select, let's say, agriculture, and if agriculture is generally not favored, its success ratio is not high in this exam, in the civil service exam, you may not get interview call after your mains, despite writing mains year after year. So do not do this. If you have any interest in any optional, choose the one in which you are the most interested. This should be the single greatest criterion to select any optional. Do not go for this. If you have no interest in any option, everyone is equal to you. And when you read the syllabus the previous year of any optional, you find that all are same for you. You can go for common optionals. Now let's discuss a little bit about how these optionals actually fare in the exam. For this we use a criterion known as success ratio. If you write prelims, you have to tell what will be your mains optional, what will be your mains center. So when you write the mains, you write it with that optional. If 100 people write the mains with that optional, how many get interview call? That's success ratio. So we will concentrate on civil service. Here are the civil service optionals: agriculture, animal husbandry and veterinary sciences, anthropology, botany, chemistry, civil engineering, commerce and accountancy, economics, electrical engineering, geography, geology, history, law, management, maths, mechanical engineering, medical science, then philosophy, physics, political science and international relations, psychology, PubAd, socio, statistics and zoology. How are these optionals? What are their success ratio? The highest success ratio is generally of medical science. Medical science people are preferred by UPSC. They are the rarest people who write this exam. Most doctors don't want to become an IAS. They want to go into their own fields. And from all other, especially from engineering branches, many people thrown towards IAS just like me. So for medical science, this has the highest success ratio. If 100 people write the paper, 15 to 20 get interview call. And PubAd has one of the lowest, 1 or 2. This keeps changing. This is based on the views and criterions of the people, of the aspirants, and it may happen that in the next year public administration is hugely selected and medical science or anything else is rejected. So the another option which secures very higher is the anthropology, which I selected. For this 10 people generally reach. If 100 people write it with the mains, if 100 people write the mains, success ratio is 10%. For agriculture and animal husbandry, I don't know, but they are okay. So neither bad nor good. Botany is okay. This is chemistry, it is okay. Engineering ones are generally not preferred. They aren't very good. But there was a candidate in civil engineering who secured 413 out of 500 in 2 optional papers of 250 each. Generally, the highest you get in anthropology, which you got in last year, was 300, and for maths, which secured the highest, it was 330. This was a few years ago. This rarely happens. In general, the engineering ones aren't considered very good. Then commerce and accountancy is okay. Economics is good. Electrical engineering is not so good. Geography, geology, history. For these two, there is an year of good performance, and generally the next year is of bad performance, then the next year is of good performance. So if this year you see that geography did bad and your option is geography, the chances are next year it may do good, so there may not be a need to change the optional. This is just based on long-term analysis, but otherwise you can go for any optional. You don't know exactly how it will fare in the future. Law is considered good, then management I don't know. Maths is very long, very tough, lot of practice is required, but if you manage it well, it is one of the most scoring, but a huge amount of effort is required, at least 10 times as much as anthropology. So If you want to choose maths, choose it well. After studying the paper, after finding a good coaching institute, and you must have interest in solving a lot of problems every day, because in case of mains in subjective paper, you are just going to reach the answer whichever you are going to reach. There is no option before you, so whatever answer you reach is your right answer, and that could actually be wrong. You don't know what the answer was actually going to be, you simply solve it according to you. One mistake and the whole question goes away. The advantage of maths is in state public service commissions. For example, if you give state public service exams after giving UPSC exams, then maths is one of the most favored there. Anthropology is one of the least favored there in general. Anthropology is one of the most favored in UPSC. Maths is also one of the most favored in UPSC. It secured the highest last year, 330 out of 500. Highest anthropology was 300, and many other optionals became, for example, PSIR, Political Science and International Relations, I think secured 280 highest last year. So maths is a very good option, but a very difficult one also. So choose it well. Most probably you shouldn't choose it if you are doubtful. Mechanical engineering is not good. Medical science is the best. Doctors are always welcome in UPSC. Doctors are also given high marks in UPSC because UPSC wants to improve the healthcare system in India, and doctors are in short supply. So philosophy is very good. Physics goes up and down. PSIR is very good. PSIR has the greatest linkage with all other mains exam. Mains has general studies 4 papers, 1 essay, and then this PSIR is there, your optional paper 1 and paper 2. If you study political science and international relation, if you take this optional, a lot of things are covered in GS and essay. In political science and international relation, in all the 4 GS papers, including the 4th GS paper of ethics, integrity and aptitude, a lot of things get covered. So if you take this, a lot of things get covered. It also keeps going up and down, but generally it stays at a good level. Psychology is very good. PubAd, I told you, is the least preferred generally. Socio is okay, but less than anthropology. Socio and anthropology are a little bit similar. Statistics, I don't know. Zoology does okay. So literature, I have no idea. This is just based on previous year analysis, and this is my information. Obviously, you should regard any information you receive from an expert who actually has that optional, and you should give preference to that knowledge. You should forget what I said here. I only know about anthropology, that's my only optional till now. I have given all 6 attempts with anthropology as optional. You can change your optional any number of times. In civil service you give 6 papers. In all 6 of them you can change your optional. In first you can have some optional, then you can change to another, or you can maintain it the same. In forest also, in case of 6 attempts, you can choose any 2, but some combinations are not allowed. Other than that, in all the 6, you can keep playing with as many permutations and combinations as you want. So this is how optional is to be selected. Your primary criterion is IS and IPS, and hence focus on this exam. Do not ignore this exam. People watching this video will think, why I am focusing so much here. My focus was also here, but now I have reached a stage where I have consumed all 6 of my attempts, and now I have to give forest exam. So this can also befall upon you. I hope it doesn't, but if it does, if you are already prepared, unlike me, you won't make the mistakes. For example, I will be only able to give 3 attempts at forest and not more. This brings us to the end of what the optional should be. I have already told you about the notification of forest. Most of the things I told you, whatever I have told you at present is very important. For example, I told you that there are two kind of services, technical and non-technical in civil service. In forest service there is only one service, forest service, and that is non-technical, so nothing is required. In case of technical services, these are the police services, for example IPS, DANEPS, then CONDEPS, and in all of these the conditions may be different. For IPS you require 165 centimeter height, you require 79 centimeter chest unexpanded and 84 centimeter expanded, so 5 centimeter chest expansion is required. You shouldn't have color blindness, you shouldn't have flat foot, you shouldn't have hernia, and there are some other conditions also you can read in the notification. These are the main ones. If you are color blind, this is genetic, you cannot do anything. If you don't have height, this is genetic, you cannot do anything generally. But in case of chest, you can always go to the gym and increase the minimum size of chest, the maximum size of chest, as well as the chest expansion. For example, in 2000 prelims, 18 prelims, I cleared it, then I gave the mains, then in 2019 my interview happened, that's why I skipped the prelims of 2019. So when on the interview date, next date my medical was there, I had already read the notification in detail, and before my interview I went for 2 months to a gym because my chest expansion was only 2 centimeter and 5 centimeter was required. So in 2 months, after taking some supplements, I made it 5 centimeter and I cleared the medical exam. So finally when my report came, I was found fit for all services, both technical and non-technical. I satisfied all these criterion. If you have flat foot, you can buy from a chemist. There is an object you can put in your feet, so that if your feet look this way, you put it in your shoes, it keeps hurting a little bit, and then your feet become this way, the foot arch develops here, and you are no longer flat foot and you are eligible. Flat foot aren't eligible. Those who don't have flat foot, those who have foot arch are eligible. If you have hernia, you can start wearing a French type of underwear, and your hernia may go away in due time. So these are this is the information I have told you till now. You can use it according to your own needs. What are your demands, etc., etc. One of the myths prevailing amongst the aspirants is that IPS is not fit for women. This is a myth. IPS is good for women. Female candidates can become IPS, there is no problem. They also perform very well. Obviously for women there are some criterion. These criterion were for men. For women they are a little less, but they are there. So if you satisfy them, you can become a police officer, and there is no problem in serving in the police officer for women. Then whatever I have told you, zonal cadre system, etc., it tells you that even if you get All India rank 1, you may not get a state of your choice, and even with some of the good ranks in the beginning, for example, I filled something like this, my counter will move this way, Telangana, then Assam, Meghalaya, and then comes back to Punjab. So even with a good enough rank in the beginning but not the best rank, if this is rejected, Haryana candidate may have to go to Assam, Meghalaya or to Telangana. So you should be knowing about that before you start preparing. This is a cadre allocation policy at present. By the time you join, it may change, but for now it looks pretty stable. It is also a good one, so I don't think it may change. So now, last thing, I told you that the only possible reason for me to start these classes is that I realized in my 6 attempts that a poor candidate either doesn't give the paper despite this being his dream, or drops after 1 or 2 attempts and has to join any job also, has to take up any job, thereby miring his or her chances at this exam. So if I am able to send any of the poor person to the civil service, that's the most important motive. Apart from that, I also like teaching. So the poor person may not get good quality coaching, and my purpose here is to provide 100% IS syllabus. Whatever I have learnt till now, I can provide. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of coaching versus me? In case of coaching, the advantage is that you get subject matter experts, geographer, an expert in geography teaches you geography and so on. Expert in economics teaches you economics. You sit with a lot of aspirants who are like you study when you see them study and so on. The disadvantages are that you have to pay a lot of money and they only finish 25% of the syllabus generally. My intention is to finish 100%. I don't know how much I will be able to finish. So here are my advantages. My disadvantage is that I am one person teaching every subject. I have no credibility. I am not a member of IAS or IPS or any other service. And I am making these videos at home. I am uploading them. They may not be of very good quality. I am using my homemade equipment, etc. etc. The best advantage of coaching is psychological. Once you take the coaching, you don't feel that you are any less than others. You feel that if you aren't making it, it is because of your own effort, and you don't blame your poverty or your lack of good quality coaching if you have taken some average kind of coaching from an average coaching institute. For prelims, it is strongly suggested that you give mock papers. So those who are rich, for them this exam is already easier. For mains, it is a must that you give GS essay optional papers, mock test, each of them, especially essay. If you miss it, if you don't give it, trust me, most probably you won't be making it. Unless specified otherwise, I am talking about general category. For interview, you need to give a lot of mock interviews, especially if this is your first attempt, because the kind of mental makeup you have right now is not what is desirable generally by UPSC. Most of the aspirants who come to this exam have many misconceptions and errors of omission and commission in their mind about this exam, and interview panelists help to shape them better. This is the most important. So those who are rich should take coaching for the psychological benefit, if not anything else, and they must attempt as many mock papers as available. For those who aren't so fortunate, you can use the mock papers available on various websites and Telegram, etc. I will tell you in detail. These are also available. The format of the paper is available. You can use the printer to take a print, or you can take them from the print. And if you are living somewhere near Karol Bagh in Delhi, you can always go to the market and Karol Bagh and Patel Nagar. Or if you are living in Mukherjee Nagar in Delhi, these are the two places. Karol Bagh is close to Patel Nagar, where I was living. It is 2 metro stations away. The residence is cheaper. So if you are in Mukherjee Nagar, you can also buy it from there. Otherwise, you can take it from Telegram or from the coaching websites themselves. They are available for free. So those shouldn't think that they can't practice. Yes, you can practice. You must practice. Write as many as you can. Give them to your friends to check. Or if possible, I will tell you, you can send it to me. I can check some of them. If all of India starts sending it to me, I won't be able to check, obviously. For interview also, I'll tell you about various coaching institutes which you can join. So that's it, friends. I think the very basic kind of knowledge which you require before beginning this exam, so that finally after getting something you aren't disheartened, or something which you should have known, knowing which you wouldn't have jumped in this exam. This shouldn't happen. So for that I have given you a very basic brief overview in these 5-6 videos about this exam. I hope I have answered most of your questions. I have focused on civil service rather than forest service. If your dream is forest service, or you have already used up all your attempts of civil service, for forest service you can see the notification first, then the previous year questions available on the UPSC website itself, then on the coaching institutes websites also, then model answers are available on coaching institutes. UPSC doesn't give any model answer to its questions. Those model answers are only shared to the examiner and head examiner. The paper looks this way in case of UPSC. You can't write here, you can't write here. The examiners write here. The UPSC paper is checked something like this. There is a head examiner, and under each head examiner there are many examiners. They check the paper, they write here why they have given marks, why they have deducted marks. Head examiner randomly selects an examiner and randomly selects a paper marked by that examiner and sees if everything is going alright, otherwise instructs the examiner. I have in these 5 videos there is a lot of stuff which I may not have told you, or I may have said that in Hindi but not in English video, or in English video but not in Hindi video. Don't worry, this will come again and again thousands of times, and by the time this class will be over you would have already come to know a lot about this exam. Tomorrow I will start with geography. Finally, I think we will start with the syllabus. My intention is to teach about the 2022 prelims. This year 2021 the prelims will be conducted on 10th of October 2021. This is the tentative date which has come, so it's very soon. It's impossible to finish this syllabus for a newcomer by then, by me. That newcomer can finish by himself if he or she is extremely hardworking. That's all, friends. Thank you.